name is Marshunda Smith. Where we find ourselves today is two days ago, I just conducted the North Shore Philharmonic. I was the first female in 20 years to conduct that orchestra, and I was the first African American in its 70-year history to conduct the orchestra.
So we are privileged and honored today to welcome as our guest conductor, and we know that a number of her students are here today, and we know that her presence on the stage today will be a great inspiration for all of you. So sit back, enjoy the concert, and let us welcome Marshunda Smith, guest conductor.
So what does a conductor do? A conductor, you have 80 people in front of you. They all have the same piece of music in front of them. They all have 80 different interpretations of the same piece of music. You need one person to solidify that. So the conductor, with his or her score, has everything every instrument has at the same time. And so a conductor knows when the violins are supposed to play and what they're supposed to play in conjunction to what the piccolo is playing. Do they play together, separate, apart? The conductor directs the music, or like a traffic cop directs the traffic. You see the cellos about to come in, or you see the big truck about to turn when they don't supposed to, you know, like wait for it, don't come in, now come in, you know, because we're all human. Sometimes we count our rests wrong. Nobody is perfect. But the conductor keeps everybody together. The conductor has one singular vision for the music, because there's 80 people. You can't, that's chaos if everybody tried to do their interpretation of the same symphony or whatever piece, orchestral piece that you have. The conductor is there to lead everybody on the journey through the music in hopefully a very fun way, hopefully a very satisfying way for everybody, the musicians and the audience included. That's what a conductor does. It's leading the orchestra and giving the music what the orchestra gives to the conductor to the audience, is painting this picture. Good, 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 good. I just want to bring to your attention that we actually slowed down there. Well, a lot more than where we were at. So at D, after D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wins when we come in, keep going forward. Make those as quick and as short as possible, because that's where we actually lost time.
Hi, my name is Mary Jane Fabonio. I play cello in the orchestra here, and I've known Marshunda for a few years, and I've played in a lot of groups with her. We play duets and in a cello quartet, and I have played in her no-name orchestra a couple times, and also in this orchestra. And I'm really glad that she has a chance to be conducting it, because she really deserves it. And one of the things I really like about her as a conductor, she's very clear. Her beat is very clear. You always know where you are. You always know what she's asking of you. If she's asking you to be quiet or loud, she always makes that very clear. So it's really a joy to play under Marshunda, and I'm just really glad she's had this opportunity. I enjoy playing in the no-name orchestra too, which is her other chance to conduct an orchestra. One of the problems with a conductor is, unlike a cellist who can pick up her instrument and play anytime, a conductor's instrument is the whole orchestra. So you can only practice your instrument when the whole orchestra is there. So it gets to be kind of hard. So I think it's really great that Marshunda makes opportunities whenever she can to practice her instrument, the orchestra.
Born and raised Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I went to this school called Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences. And it is actually, it's a K through 12 school. And it's Paideia philosophy by Joseph Adler, I think, if I remember my history correct. And the Paideia philosophy was basically, you discuss things all the time. Hey, what do you think about this? Well, I don't think it's fair because this is this. So the teachers there were more, they discussed with us more so than this is in the book, this is what you have to learn it, recite it. They were more like, let's engage in this curriculum together, which was awesome. So it was an arts and sciences school, so everybody took arts and everybody took sciences. And it was interesting or convenient that the school itself was walking distance from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. So when the students were finished with their main core classes that they needed to graduate, they would just walk across the street and take classes at the university, which was really cool. I was in orchestra, or rather I was in the strings class. I started in band, and I tried to play flute, but I couldn't make a sound because I didn't have the right amateur. Then I wanted to play saxophone, but the band director didn't have any more saxophones to give out, because, you know, saxophone is just, it's very, everybody wants to play saxophone because it's cool. I went to strings and I played the upright bass for about 2 months. And then after that, a cello came to class. And I wanted to play cello because I had a crush on Omar. That was just, I had a crush on him all throughout middle school and high school. So he is the main reason why I started playing cello, actually. And he went on, he was a good basketball player. I played basketball as well in our extracurricular activities, but he played cello and I wanted to sit next to Omar. But then when it came time to start looking at colleges and scholarships and all that other stuff, even before that a little bit, I kept getting these high marks in class, in music class. For instance, I would either sit principal cello or co-principal cello, or we would go to these festivals, or I would go to festivals outside of my school, and I would audition, and I would always get these high marks, either first, second, or third, or fourth cello. And so when it came time for college, I actually got a full scholarship. Had I not gotten a full scholarship in music, I probably would have gone into math or some type of sciences, because I really loved math and I really loved science. But a full scholarship has a tendency to change people's minds when they don't have to pay for school, so that was awesome. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where you all come in on beat 3. I know it's pianissimo. I am breathing with you. So I'm going to go 1, 3. So if you can breathe with me so we can all come in on that beat 3 together, that would be awesome. After college, I decided that I wanted to teach and conduct kids. Robert Lehman at the University of Southern Maine sent an audition tape up to him, and they invited me to come up to audition for in front of the orchestra there. He accepted me into his the orchestral conducting program. And from there, well, I go from Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is like, I mean, I don't know the real demographics, but what I grew up around was pretty white and black, and then small percent of other types of people. Skip over Boston and New York and go to Maine, which I believe is the whitest state in America. But that's okay. I was going to education because I wanted to study with a certain person. And I got my education from him, and it was great. We collaborated on a lot of things. He taught me a lot of things. We're also going to bring in the narrators today. This is the first time the orchestra will play with the narrators, and we'll get a feel of how that is with the narrators speaking slow. They're doing a little acting on stage, the flowing of how they walk in and how they walk out, how they interact with each other, how they interact with me. So this is like the last rehearsal before the performance tomorrow, and it's quite important so everybody knows how tomorrow will go, the flow of things.
What thou seest when thou dost wake, do it for thy true love take. Love and languish for his sake. Be it owl, or cat, or bear, pard or boar with bristled hair, in thy eye that doth appear when thou wakest, it is thy dear. Wake when some vile thing is here.
My name is Vanya Yours, and I will be narrating the parts of Oberon, the King of the Fairies, and Duke Theseus from the Midsummer Night's Dream. I have not been a narrator in an orchestral piece before. I have acted in many different plays over the years. I've taught at the Waldorf School at Moraine Farm for over 20 years, and I've directed plays there both for the faculty and for students in many different grades.
And the country proverb known, that every man shall take his own, in your waking shall be shown. Jack shall have Jill, naught shall go ill. The man shall have his mare again, and all shall be well.
My name is Brannigan Reed, and I will be doing the narration part of Puck tomorrow.
I am Anna Coffey, and I will be doing the narration part of Fairy, Hermia, and Titania.
So this is the first time that I'm working with the symphony. I believe it's the same for Anna. And we both work with Marshunda at the Waldorf School at Moraine Farm. And she asked us if we would be a part of this really important historical moment for her. And that's what we're doing here. In my past lives, I've done all of these things. I've done some music training. I sing at my church currently. I've done a lot of theater and stage readings and things similar to this before, and this is a really great opportunity to keep on doing that.
Lysander! What, removed? Lysander! Lord? What, hard of hearing? Gone? No sound, no word? Alack, what are you? Speak, and if you hear, have been acting for as long as I can remember. I trained at NYU and I did lots of professional theater in the past, and then I decided to be a teacher full-time at the same school with Brannigan. I love doing readings and singing and all that, so it's nice to be involved with something here at the Swampscott High School. And I remember I was driving down Cabot Street about to turn into our school when I saw this woman riding her bike with a cello on her back, and I remember thinking, wow, she looks so fun, I wish I could be friends with her. And then she was at our orientation at the Waldorf School at Moraine Farm, and we've been friends ever since.
What really solidified me moving to the Boston area, it's kind of not a happy story, but it's a story that happens. I was on my way back from Boston from a gig, and at this time I lived in Beaufort, Maine. And I was getting off the interstate, and it was dark, and I got pulled over by the cops. And he said I was going fast, and I was like, okay, all right, well, so is everybody else, but that's fine. So about a week later, I'm pulling out, I'm like one street away from where I live, and I get pulled over. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And the guy who pulled me over was the same cop. He was like, didn't I just pull you over last week? I'm like, yeah. He was like, you're going fast. I'm like, but I didn't want to argue with him. So maybe like 2 months later, I'm halfway into the driveway of the apartment complex that I live in, and I had an older white friend with me sitting in the car. And I got pulled over. The guy came right there, and I was like, this is the same guy. And he was talking to me, but over to my friend. He was saying, oh, this, you were going fast. Where are you going? I'm like, I'm going home. Where's your home? I'm like, right here. This is my home. And just the things that he didn't outright say racist things, but it was very much implied. And my older white friend, who's like in her early 60s, she was like, he would not look at me at all. I'm driving. I'm holding the steering wheel. I'm driving. Well, I'm parked at this point. He gives me a ticket, but he's talking past me to Linda. And when he leaves, I just broke down and cried. And she was just like, I've never witnessed that before. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never witnessed that. I was like, Linda, why would you witness that? You're not black. And so she actually went to court with me so we could talk to the judge about this. And we didn't see an actual judge. We saw a lady before the judge or something. I don't know what they're called. But the lady was like, oh, I know this officer. He's not racist at all. And Linda was just like, well, the things that he wasn't saying, racism was implied. This older white lady was vouching for me, and thank God she was there to see this whole interaction. But they threw out the ticket. And about a week later, I was down in Boston.
Hi, I'm Ron Posgay. I'm a violinist with the North Shore Philharmonic. And I'd just like to say a few words about my friend Marshunda. She's been our friend for a long time, ever since she joined the orchestra. She's a wonderful cellist, a wonderful person. We play a lot of chamber music together. She's played in this orchestra. She's been the librarian of the orchestra. She's been a stalwart member of the orchestra, and now she's conducting us. And we're really excited about it.
And getting back to Robert Lehman, he announced in the spring of 2017 that he was going to do a sabbatical for the 2017-2018 concert season. He was going to do the first concert, which is a big Mahler third concert, and then he was going to have 2 guest conductors. So he asked me to guest conduct the winter concert, the February concert, an all Shakespeare themed concert. But it was really wonderful to conduct the people that I've been sitting with for over a decade. It was different in a way, and it was kind of the same. My mom, she is, I don't know, she's a great female, but we're so opposite. I find a lot of my mannerisms like her. It was great to have her here. It really was. My stepdad, I love him. I love both my mom and my dad and my stepdad. My stepdad came up and he was wonderful. He actually got teary-eyed, which is wonderful. I'm actually his first daughter. He's never had a daughter before. He's only had a son. So he was very proud of me. And my aunt came all the way up from Texas. And my aunt is very zen and quiet. And her presence, it really helped calm me. And I hadn't seen her in about 2 years, so it was really nice to see my aunt, and I'm really glad that she came up. I'm just glad that any family member came up, really. I've been conducting here, and I'm busy with this, but conducting the North Shore Philharmonic, being its first African American conductor and only the second female in 20 years, you know, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. So I was very happy that my family was able to be there with me, just to share in this momentous occasion with me.
I'm Bob Mara, president of the North Shore Philharmonic Orchestra, and I am standing with Katrina Alexander Smith, mother of our guest conductor today. Ms. Smith, you must be very proud.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm ecstatic. There's just no words. It's just wow. Yes.
Let me ask you, Marshunda, as a young girl, was playing the cello.
Yes.
And had aspirations for music and now reaches this point. What does that mean to you as a mom to see that kind of desire and then the pursuit of that desire and then to accomplish something like this today?
Oh God, I tell you, it's a blessing from God. It really is, for her to pursue her dreams, her passion for what she diligently just went out and took control of. And that's what she wanted to do.
What message would you have to moms everywhere whose children aspire to the difficult but very rewarding field of music?
Well, if there is some type of, what can you say, a career that they want to aspire, encourage them, even though it may be a little different than the normal career. Stay behind them, stick with them, just continue to just go with them wherever they want to do. Just stick with them all the way. Don't give them that look like, are you sure? Yes, is this what you want to do? I'm there with you all the way.
I've seen it on TV, but actually be under a female? No, never been under female. Out of all the orchestras in the world, thousands of orchestras in the world, 5% of them, about 5% of them are led by female. That's crazy. I've been receiving these emails and people coming up to me, in particular after the concert, particularly from older women and women with female children, with girls. And the older women, they were just like, it is so wonderful to see a female in that position. It's so wonderful. I've gotten that so many times within the past couple of days. So wonderful to see a woman in front of an orchestra. We see women in front of choirs, but we don't see them in front of orchestras. I've had moms come up to me saying, it is so great for my daughter and or niece to see a female up there. I've had a couple of fathers say that too about their daughters. Representation matters. Basically, yeah, the first female conductor I've ever worked with was me.